Audio 1, 2, you should be able to hear me. If you do hear me, give me a yes in the chat box. Hold on, I got to open up the chat box first here. Give me a yes in the chat box. Stephen is already here. We were talking in the background.
That's right, we were.
That's right. So if you guys can hear me, make sure my mic's working and everything. Give me a yes in the chat box. I'm not seeing any yeses. Must mean I did something wrong.
I'm seeing a lot of yeses.
Are you seeing a lot of yeses?
I'm seeing Frank and Amos and Peter and Nora and Dave and Jeffrey and about 100 other people.
I'm in the chat box, not in the Q&A box, like a moron. So
no.
Hey guys, I could not give a better endorsement of Steven's stuff. He has been down here to my place, and what he's got in store for you is he's got a really, really good presentation. He's a solid dude. I can't give a better recommendation. He's in the top 3 people that if somebody said, hey, you got to trade options, who would you learn from? I would go to Steven first because it's simple. It's a 3-step system. Look at the scanner, follow the directions, place the trade, repeat. Okay. So it's really simple. Now you're probably going to say, man, it sounds too simple. It's too simple. When you first start out, or if you're still struggling, if you're not profitable, if you're not consistent, this is the way to do it. Don't be making up your own trading plans. Steven's already done all the hard work for you. And what we did is we took his best programs and simplified it and made it super easy to understand. Very, very simple 3-step program. Once again, I cannot endorse the guy enough. I've seen his stuff. He's been here. We've partnered up on some deals here. I know you're really going to love his presentation. Steven, it's all yours, brother. Good luck.
Thank you, Hubert. Thank you so much. And welcome, everyone, to this training here today. Now, as we all kind of know, 2020 has been a crazy year when it comes to the market. We've had incredible rallies. We've had incredible sell-offs. In fact, some would say that 2020 marks the year of the return of volatility, as we've had more 1% moves in a single day in the market than we have seen in any year in the past 3 decades. Now, to make things even more interesting, even where we are today in the stock market at all-time highs, volatility is still very elevated, which all points to what? A likely continued increase in volatility moving forward. Now, many traders believe that volatility is the enemy, but I'm here today to show you how volatility is about to become your new best friend. So I do believe we are going to see a continued increase in volatility moving forward, and I want everyone to keep that in the back of their minds during this training today. So what I'm about to share with you is truly incredible, because after trading for over 13 years, after making over $1 million of profits trading for myself, and after working with thousands of individual traders, I have just never seen the kind of results that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So my team and I have found, after 8 months of studying the data, after studying over 2,500 stocks and over 5 million data points, we have found something which I consider to be a breakthrough. So here's what we're going to cover during this training. I'm going to show you a non-directional. Let me repeat that again. A non-directional 7-day strategy in Facebook that has returned 2,087% with a 90% success rate. I'm also going to show you how I made over $77,000 in 2 days in Expedia this year, following specific and hidden momentum indicators in the market. I'm also going to show you how you can simply scan for these opportunities daily without having to do any research yourself. On top of that, I'm going to show you how you can join me live next week for a Kickstart to Consistency class, but most importantly, I'm going to show you how to become a much more consistent trader overnight. So my big promise to you for being a part of this training is, first of all, you're going to have a blast. This is a ton of fun, and I absolutely love teaching individual traders how to get much more consistent results. But ultimately, my big, bold promise is that after sitting through this training, you will never trade options the same way ever again. Just like Jason, He's loving how so many of these trades are profiting so quickly. Why? Because Jason has been taught what I'm about to teach you. Or Brad, take a look at this. 6 winning trades in just 4 days. And then he says, holy moly, Batman, this is the bomb, baby. Why? Because Brad has been taught what I'm about to teach you. Or take a look at Donna. $39,982 in profits in one single week. How? Because Donna has been taught what I'm about to teach you. But before I teach you this, I want to first make sure that all of you are in the right spot. So if you are sick and tired of getting chopped up by the market and are ready to have much more consistent results moving forward, then this is for you. If you are confused about when to get in and when to get out and would rather know those answers days in advance, well, then this is for you too. If you want to finally generate that consistent weekly income or are looking to achieve financial freedom, then you are in the right spot. And finally, my friends, if you need a specific and step-by-step plan and want to avoid learning this all on your own, then this is for you. Why? Because this is something anyone can do, even very part-time. So guys and gals, I hope you're starting to feel like you are in the right place. If you are in the right place, let me know in the chat box right now by giving me a big fat 44. I want to make this training as interactive as possible. So please give me a 44 in the chat box if you are in the right spot. There we go. We got Gary and Peter and Joanne and Dave and Stephen with a PH and Paul and Lee and Deepak and David and Elliot and Stephen and Brent and so many more. Fantastic. So my goal for this training is to make this training worth at least $5,000 to your investments. And look, these are the exact same strategies that I use myself and I share with my students, and they work. So there's no doubt in my mind, you're going to get the kind of value if you commit with me. So my ask is that you just treat this training as if you paid $5,000 to learn this. And what that really means is, look, I know right here, right now, you have plenty of opportunity to be distracted away for recovering on this training. But if you want that $5,000 of value free out of this training, you have to limit all of your distractions and, of course, stay all the way until the end. Now, full transparency, I don't want anyone to have any anxiety about what might happen at the end of the training. We do have a program called Consistent Trader that will extend to you an exclusive invitation for being a part of this training with me today. But you should know that if you want to join later on, there are going to be a ton of incentives such as live weekly coaching, access to my personal and proprietary scanner, and unlimited trade alerts at a giant discount. Now, the decision will be completely up to you at the end, but I just wanted to be 100% transparent so you could focus on the training and not worry about what comes next. And again, I promise you that if you pay attention, you're going to get that $5,000 of value out of this training. Does that sound like a fair deal to you? Very good. So who is this Stephen Brooks character who has been going on for the last handful of minutes? Well, yes, my friends, that is me. In the top right corner of the screen, I am a former professional baseball player, and I did play in the Kansas City Royals organization. However, that was a former life. Since then, I have made over $1 million of profits in the stock market. I'm currently an investing coach with clients all over the world who have a combined $27 million under management. I am also a traveler, a sports fanatic, and a foodie. Now, before we begin, we have to go with our disclaimer. The lawyers, they make me write this slide. So here we go. This is not a get rich quick type of thing. Nothing is. End of discussion. This is not effortless earnings. You will need to pay attention during this training. You will need to take notes. You will need to ask questions. And of course, you will need to take action on these methods following this training. But just because my methods are less risky does not mean that they are risk-free. And finally, my results are not typical. However, I am going to walk you through the methods that I am using to get spectacular results. But please, again, folks, understand that my results are not typical. Okay, traders, we are now into the meat and potatoes of this training. So if you did not have out a paper and pen up before, you want to go ahead and do that right now. Why? Because on this very training live, you'll be taught a systematic way to generate weekly income buying options without having to do any research yourself. And during this training, I am going to show you a few very specific examples of the exact kind of trades it takes to accomplish this, and the results are incredible. And maybe the best part about this whole system is that this can be accomplished by anyone, beginner or pro, as long as you're able to follow directions. So my friends, before we begin, I want you to know these methods, they work hands down. So I need you all to promise me something. I need you all to promise me that after I share exactly how to generate that consistent weekly income, that you're going to go out there and you're going to take action on this system immediately following this training. So give me a 55 in the chat box right now if you promise to take action on this system immediately following this training. Let me see those 55s in the chat box. Let me see who my action takers are on this training here today. And boy, this is full of action takers. I feel like everyone just had a cup of coffee before we started this training. We got Faye and Steve and Jose and Gary and Ron and Amish and Brett and David and Jeff and David and Jimmy and MJ and Gary and Mart and Henderson and David and so many more. Fantastic. A lot of energy in the crowd tonight. This is going to be great. Now, let's take you back really quickly to November of 2019. Now, at that time, I went to my data team. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have a very large data team of data engineers. So I went to the team and I asked them this. I asked them, can you go find me strategies that show consistent weekly profits in both bull and bear markets only by buying options? Now, I have to tell you, I assumed this assignment was going to be an absolute piece of cake for my team. I had given them dozens of tasks over the past few years, and they have never failed me. So the team went out there and they tried to find these patterns that would result in a stock going higher, buying calls in those cases, or find patterns that would result in a stock going lower and buying puts in those cases. Now, one of the first studies the team ran was buying calls on stocks when they had exhibited a golden cross. Now, how many of you on this training have heard of the golden cross before? Give me a me in the chat box if you have heard of the golden cross before. Right, exactly. Many of you. Now, why did we focus on the golden cross first? Well, first, the golden cross is accepted by Wall Street as being a very bullish signal. In fact, even Mr. Jim Cramer himself agrees. Even Jim Cramer says the golden cross is the ultimate bullish signal. Now, what is this golden cross, right? A golden cross is when the 50-day moving average, that is the green line that you see on the screen. When that line crosses above the 200-day moving average, that is the red line that you see on the screen. When that happens, that is supposed to signal a bullish change in momentum. And if you were to search for charts on the internet of these golden crosses, you're likely to find chart after chart that look just like this one. You see that golden cross occur, and the stock price shoots directly to the moon. So my team went out there to run this test to see if buying calls on these stocks in these golden crosses would show positive results. I fully expected that to be the case. So what the team did was this. We ran a study in the top 100 stocks based on volume. Those would be your Apples of the world, your Amazons, your Walmarts, your Johnson & Johnsons, and so on and so forth. And what we did in those top 100 stocks, again, based on volume, is we went back to the year 2005 in the data. and we would purchase call options in any of those stocks when the golden cross occurred. That's it. That's all we did. And again, I fully expected to see tremendous results. But the problem was the results, they were weak at best. 39% win rate, an average negative return per trade. And this was, of course, surprising to me because I had thought the golden cross was really an accepted bullish signal. But the truth is, buying calls on a bullish signal, even in some of the names that have really gone up a lot over the past 15 years, it's just not a profitable strategy. The numbers do not support it. Now, of course, we didn't just stop there and throw in the towel. We also researched other technical patterns that were also accepted as bullish signals, such as the bullish engulfing pattern, which is an accepted bullish candlestick pattern. We also looked at bullish stochastic patterns and many, many more. And the truth is, none of them showed the level of consistency or profitability for us to be able to say that we found something that worked. As we can see across the board, less than 50% winners, average negative return per trade, no good. So after about 2.5 months, my data team, they had found nothing. And in fact, by the middle of February of this year, my data team, they came back to me and they said, we have found nothing. And we do not think we will ever find anything that meets our criteria of a consistently profitable strategy. Now, this was both confusing and perplexing to me at the same time, so much so that on February 24th of this year, my wife and I flew out of the greater New York City area where we live out to Scottsdale, Arizona. My wife was a sales champion for her company Zillow, and we were rewarded with a weeks-long retreat at a very nice resort out in Scottsdale, Arizona, with the executives of the company and their other sales champions. Now, for many of us, we know exactly what February 24th, 2020 is. It was not the day that little old me went on vacation. Why? Because it was day one of the Corona crash. So my wife and I, we took this early flight out of New York City out to the Phoenix airport. And as soon as we took off and as soon as we got to cruising altitude, I immediately opened up my laptop, I bought in-flight Wi-Fi, and I started working away. Now, less than 10 seconds into me working, my wife, she reached over and she slammed my laptop shut. And she said, Steven, what are you doing? What could be so important that you have to be working on it right now? You are supposed to be on vacation and you haven't taken a vacation in years. Close the laptop and try to do something you've never done before. Take a day off. And I told her, I have the team, right? I call my data team the team, right? So I told her, I have the team. They're working on this project. We've been working on it now for close to 3 months, and we have not been able to find any profitable strategies based on the tests we are running. And I have to tell you, I cannot believe this is happening because the team has never let me down before. And then she said, okay, take me back to the beginning. What is the team working on and what are they trying to accomplish? And I told her, the team is trying to find me weekly option strategies that show consistent profits at the level we are used to. And of course, we're trying to find these times where we buy these options and they go up in value in roughly 1 week's time. And then she asked, okay, what is an option? And I told her, an option is just a way to bet on a stock without having to own the stock itself. And then she asked me, okay, how does an option get its price? And I told her, an option gets its price from many different factors: interest rates, gamma, vega. But most importantly, options get their pricing from implied volatility. And then she asked, okay, what happens to the price of an option if this implied volatility goes up or it goes down? And I told her, well, when implied volatility increases, the price of an option increases. Now, before I can even finish my sentence, my wife cut me off and she said, well, honey, maybe tell the team to look for times when that happens. If you're trying to find these times where options go up in value and that happens when implied volatility increases, maybe just shift the team's focus. Now, when she said this to me, I thought to myself, trading is supposed to be simple. And her suggestion, it is very simple. And so many traders have such a bad habit of making it way more complicated than it should be. So I took her simple suggestion and I asked my team in an email, rather than trying to find me these times where stocks go up and buy calls in those cases, let's go ahead and instead find me times when implied volatility would be increasing. Now, after I sent that email over to my team, yes, of course, I did close my laptop. I was supposed to be on vacation, and of course, I thought it was a good time to start acting like it. So I closed my laptop for the remainder of the flight, and I did not check my email until we got to the hotel a few hours later. Now, when we arrived at the hotel, here was the email that was sitting at the top of my inbox. It was from Justin, my lead data scientist, and it reads like this. Boss, go look at the Google file I just sent you. I think we did it. We found a technical pattern that resulted in an 8.5 point increase in implied volatility over a week or so period. The results from this single study are better than anything we have found for you in the past and will blow even you away. Remember, this is all going on when I'm 30,000 feet in the sky in a tin can. So he follows up with this. He goes, also, in case you're not aware, coronavirus has finally gotten the market's attention. You're probably watching a movie right now, but the Dow is down over 1,000 points. I hope you have a safe rest of your flight. Now, what is critical about this email? It is the second sentence. I will read it again. We found a technical pattern that resulted in an 8.5 point increase in implied volatility over a week or so period. Now, what about this 8.5 point increase in implied volatility? What about it is such a big deal? Well, as we can see in the top portion of the screen, we have a very simple call option in Facebook, currently trading for $5.50. But on the bottom portion of the screen, we have simulated what will happen to the value of that option if implied volatility is increased by 8.5 points. And as we can see, without the stock doing anything, the value of the option has increased by nearly 40%. So the question is, what was this amazing setup that the team found? So here it is. When the stock price goes from above to below the 200-day moving average, and when that happens, if the stock price is also below its 10-day exponential moving average, when that has happened historically, we have seen an 8.5 point increase in implied volatility in about a week or so time. Now, we did see this happen earlier this year in Kinder Morgan, KMI. We see the stock price go from above to below the 200-day moving average, and at the same time, it is also below the 10-day exponential moving average. And what happens to implied volatility? It shoots directly to the moon. Now, the really impressive thing about this particular method is that implied volatility does not just increase when the price of the stock goes down, because we can see earlier on this year, we saw the same thing happen in Mondelez, except the stock went higher and implied volatility still increased. So what happens? What do we do when this happens? We buy a 14-day strangle. Now, even if you don't know what a strangle is, don't worry. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is buy a call and a put at the same time. Very simple. So going all the way back to Facebook's IPO, in 2012, if we just went out there every 2 weeks and we placed this trade, as you can see, the results weak at best, less than 50% win rate. And of course, the average trade is basically break even or a little less than break even when you factor in things like commissions. Again, the results we're looking at right now, the ones before you, they are placing this trade every 2 weeks, rain or shine. But remember, my team, they were incredibly excited about the new way they were looking at the data when implied volatility would be increasing. So since 2012, instead of just placing this trade every 2 weeks and hoping for the best, we placed this trade at the right time when we knew implied volatility would be increasing. And take a look at the drastic difference in results, my friends. We were able to take the win rate from 47% up to 90%. The average return per trade from break even to over 200% per trade for a total return of over 2,000%. And we're in the trade for only 7 days. So, how many of you would like to see this type of growth in a year, let alone 7 days? Give me a me in the chat box if you would like to see these results in your trading account. Exactly, like Brent and Dave and Deepak and Jeff and David again and Barry and Narvin and Jeffrey and Faye and so many more. Now, here's the kicker. Listen to this one. The beauty of this kind of trade is that it does not matter if the stock goes up or it goes down. Because out of these 10 trades, 6 out of 10 the stock went higher, 4 out of 10 times the stock went lower. Now, since Facebook's IPO in 2012, the stock has grown significantly, nearly 600%. That means if you had invested just $1,000 in Facebook's IPO, that $1,000 would have turned into nearly $6,000. $5,000 invested in Facebook's IPO would have turned into nearly $30,000. And $10,000 invested in Facebook's IPO would have turned into nearly $60,000. But to get those big returns, however, you would have had to stomach a 52% loss in 2012, a 40% loss in 2018, and a 34% loss in 2020. But instead of going through all of that, if you had just bought options at the right time, when implied volatility is set to increase, the results were on a whole other level. Because instead of putting $1,000 into Facebook's IPO, if you instead started with $1,000 and took just 10 trades in Facebook, that $1,000 would have turned into over $20,000. $5,000 in just 10 trades in Facebook would have turned into over $100,000. And $10,000 in just 10 trades in Facebook would have turned into over $200,000. Not too shabby. Now, if I can come up with a very good real-world analogy for what implied volatility is, I would say it is like an escalator that is going down. Like you're at the mall and there's an escalator going from the second floor down to the food court on the first floor. When you're going out there willy-nilly, buying calls on stocks that you hope to go higher, buying puts on stocks that you hope to go lower, it is like you are walking up an escalator that is going down. It is very challenging to do because the escalator is working against you. Implied volatility or the escalator are always working against us in that scenario. Now, if you are a struggling trader, this is not your fault. It is very easy to fall into this trap. Your account feels like something is dragging it lower and lower and lower. It is an escalator working against you. It is implied volatility working against your options. But of course, it is much easier for us to get where we want to be when we have implied volatility or the escalator going in our direction. It is like sailing with the wind as opposed to against it. It is like rowing downstream as opposed to rowing upstream. And it is the exact single reason for how we were able to take the exact same trade, just doing it at the right time. When implied volatility is set to increase, it drastically increases our results. This was my giant aha moment. And if you're sitting there right now having an aha moment too, go ahead and give me a me in the chat box. Like David and Ron and Jeffrey and Gary and Dave again and Rodney and Mart and Tom and Joe and Elliot and so many more. Now, really quickly, let's go back to that first study. Remember, we're trying to find these times where we buy these options on these supposed bullish patterns. And just by doing that, remember, the results not very good. But ask yourself this: why were the results so poor? Well, it was because we were not factoring in the need to buy options only when we had the wind in our backs or when implied volatility was going to increase. So the question is, what did the results look like to our initial tests when we realized the missing key to the entire equation? Because remember, we bought those calls on some very high performing stocks on these supposed bullish patterns, and the results were no good. But as you can see, by buying options at the right time, when implied volatility is set to increase, now we are talking. Clearly, buying options at the right time, when implied volatility is set to increase, when we have the wind in our backs, we have tremendously better success. Now, the most obvious next question is, well, what do we do from here? Now, the average trader, they likely wake up every morning. Maybe they'll read the Wall Street Journal or Investors Business Daily. And then what they'll do is they'll turn on the financial television to determine what's currently going on in the market. Then after that, they are very likely to log into their online brokerage account and start going through chart after chart after chart after chart after chart. Now, I call this the average trader's daily research routine. In fact, listen to this one. According to TradeThirsty, the average stay-at-home trader is spending 2 hours and 13 minutes a day just doing research. Now, we are not trying to be professional researchers. We're trying to go out there and we're trying to make a profit. Now, based on those numbers provided to us by TradeThirsty, that means the average stay-at-home trader is spending over 10 hours a week just doing research, or over 500 hours a year just doing research. Now, I am sure you can completely understand why so many traders feel like they do not have enough time to trade. See, the problem is that by trading this way, you're having to do new research every day and, of course, spend countless hours doing so. But I'm here today to tell you that if you are one of those traders out there who is constantly doing research every day, reading financial news, studying chart after chart after chart, well, then you, my friend, are trading backwards. That's right. You are trading backwards, because the old way, again, is you wake up, you read the financial news, and then what you'll do is you'll watch on financial television, whether it's Fox Business or it's Bloomberg. And then what you're going to do is you're going to analyze countless charts, dozens of charts. You're going to draw trend line after trend line. You're going to add indicator after indicator to those charts. In fact, you know what? Let me know in the chat box right now if you are one of those traders who spends way too much time analyzing charts. Give me a yes in the chat box if that is you. Exactly. Brian goes, it's like you've known me my whole life. Brent goes, the old way stinks. Absolutely. And then after you spend all that time doing all that research, maybe then you finally place a trade. Now, whether you place a trade or not, in order to find a new trade, you are going to have to go back to step one. But remember, That's the old way. That's trading backwards. And I told you, trading should be simple. And the old way, it's not very simple. But the new way, well, we do the research once, not for hours each day, once. Remember, my team ran that study in Facebook that showed very good results. We only did the research once, and we only need to do that research just one time. So after we do the research just once, then what do? We add the trade to a scanner, and the scanner is doing the research for us each and every day. And then what do? We sit back, we relax, and we wait for the scanner to tell us to take a trade or not. Now, the new way, doing the research once, adding it to the scanner, having the scanner do the research for us. In my book, it really solves a lot of problems that the average trader has on a given day. Because to me, the new way, with the scanner, it solves three major problems. The first problem is I don't know what kind of trade to place. Now, of course, I have developed a proprietary scanner for these methods, and on that scanner, it literally tells you the exact trade to take. This is a screenshot from my proprietary scanner, and when you hover over a trade, it literally tells you the exact trade to take. I don't know what trade to place. Problem solved. But that is not the only problem that a scanner like this solves. It also solves the problem of I don't know when to get in and when to get out. Why? Because the scanner literally tells you exactly when to get in and exactly when to get out before you even place the trade. Problem solved again. Now, the third problem that the scanner solves is I don't feel confident in my trade. Well, the scanner gives you right there on the page the historical results for placing the exact trade that the scanner tells you to in those specific stocks. So, for example, as we can see, KMI, Kinder Morgan, has shown up on the scanner, and you see that the previous results of this trade are very strong. And remember, the scanner has already told you the exact trade to take. It has already told you when to get in and when to get out. So all you have to do is just place the trade. Same thing with Starbucks. You already know the trade. You already know the entry. You already know the exit. And you see that by placing this trade in Starbucks, it worked to the tune of a 100% win rate, even during the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. So all you have to do is just place the trade. In fact, give me a yes in the chat box if you are starting to see how the new way, the one where we do the research once and only once, and adding the trade to the scanner is going to save you a tremendous amount of time moving forward. Absolutely it is. Dave goes yes with like, let's see, 1, 2, 3 Y's, 5 S's, or 5 E's and like 30 S's. That's very cool. Now, here's the cool thing. As most of you know, when I find a new method or a new trade that looks very good on paper, yes, of course, I do try it out myself. But one of the things that I really like to do is I like to test them out on somebody who has never traded before. This way, I feel like if I can show somebody who has never traded before how to excel, then anyone who can follow simple step-by-step instructions should do well as well. So in this case, I asked my younger brother, David, if he would like to help me out. And here's the email I sent him. He says, David, or I say David, excuse me. I just came across a bunch of really strong trading strategies that look to work very well, and I'd like for you to be my guinea pig and try them out. These strategies require very little money to do, so I added just $500 to a trading account for you. I know you are busy with work, so I created a scanner for you that will give you the results of just 2 of the trades. One where you buy a 3-day call and one where you buy a 14-day put. We can chat more about it later, but each day you can just check the scanner at the same time, put in the trades, and be done. Sound good? A couple minutes later, Dave responded to me by saying, sure, as long as we can do the first trade together. So on May 15th of 2020, the scanner showed Expedia was in a setup that also resulted in an increase in implied volatility. And buying a simple 3-day call at the proper strike and the proper expiration in Expedia over the last 10 years gave us some very good results. Now, of course, even though Expedia back in 2017, as we can see, was higher than it is today, over the past 10 years, Expedia has still risen 383%. So in theory, right, we would expect that buying 3-day calls in a stock that has gone up nearly 400% would show very good results. And of course, as you probably know by now, when we just go out there and buy calls in Expedia every 3 days, again, in a stock that over the past 10 years has gone up nearly 400%, the results, again, not very good. But just by knowing the right time to buy these options, my friends, when implied volatility is set to increase, well, as we can see, it makes all the difference in the world. We've basically doubled the win rate and take the average trade from break even to nearly 13% per trade. And remember, the agreement that was made between my younger brother and myself was this: we would do the first trade together. So when Expedia showed up on the scanner in May 15th of 2020, we both took the exact same trade. And in just 3 trading days, I made over $77,000 in profits. It is truly amazing what your results can be when you know the right time to buy options. So my younger brother went out there and he sent me an email 1 month later, just 1 single month later. And it read like this: hey, so the account has already doubled and it's a little more than $1,000 in it right now. I have checked the scanner only 3 times a week and have done 9 trades so far. And of course, he listed them below. And then he says, all in all, I would say I imagine for trading. And of course, he's saying that because to date, before this, he had never traded before. I imagine for trading, it does not get any easier than this. I just looked at the scanner around 3 o'clock 3 times a week and took the trades that showed up in the 2 columns you created for me. Thanks. I will take you to sushi with the profits if you want. Now, with this email, he also sent me an attachment that showed that my younger brother, who had 0 trading experience, by following my step-by-step instructions, was able to have a 106% return on his entire portfolio in 1 single month. So give me a 106 in the chat box right now if you think that a 106% return on the entire portfolio in 1 single month is a good result. Let me see those 106s in the chat box right now. There we go. We got Dave, David, Joanne, Ron, Deepak, Jeff, Joe, Jose, Tiger, Brent, JB, Gene, Steve, Mark, and so many more. Absolutely very, very cool. Now, let's recap what we have gone over so far. We first talked about how even in the most bullish patterns that Wall Street has to offer, buying calls in those situations, it is a losing strategy. But by knowing the right time to buy options, when implied volatility is set to increase, well, the results are drastically better. And then we talked about how the old way of trading, right? Spending countless hours researching brand new ideas each and every day, talking yourself out of placing trades and missing out on huge profit potential, that is just a thing of the past, because the new way, the simple way of doing the research once and then adding it to the scanner, it not only saves you a ton of time, but it gives you a ton of focus and a ton of clarity. So at the beginning of this training, I promised you that you will learn new ideas that would start making you money immediately, whether you are a beginner or pro. So I have to ask you, was our time together valuable? Did you enjoy this training? Do you understand now how I am able to do what I do in the stock market and some of my students are able to get such big time results? And can you see how this system will allow you to profit immediately, whether you are a beginner or a pro? And on top of that, do you see how little time and knowledge is really needed to invest? Because here's the deal. I have complete confidence in you. Why? Because you promised me that you were going to go out there and you were going to take action on this system immediately following this training. And while we did spend about 45 minutes together and go over a few exceptional trades, there's only so much we can go over. Imagine spending more time together, how much more valuable that would be to you. So in the beginning, I also promised you an opportunity to join me in taking your next steps together by joining our Consistent Trader program, which is designed to give you the exact step-by-step formula for generating consistent weekly income. So, are you ready to see what we have put together for you and how you can start to utilize this immediately? Because as you probably know by now, I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to make this as easy as possible, but most importantly, I'm here to make sure that you consistently make more money moving forward than you ever have before. So here's the deal. What we are looking to do is we're looking to launch this as a brand new program to the general public next year. But because this is exactly what you have been looking for and the timing in the market has just never been better, I want to bring you on board today as one of my VIP members. And we're going to call this Consistent Trader. For those of you who are looking to become true consistent traders today. So here's what's finally going to work for you. The first thing you're going to get in Consistent Trader are my options buying trade setups. Now, currently in the program, we have 16 different methods that show spectacular results, such as a 7-day trade that has a 50% return ROI this year in 2020. Or a 14-day trade that has a 53% average ROI per trade in 2020. Now, the results that you're looking at right now, they're not based off of cherry picking, one good trade over here or one good trade over there. These are the average results of the average returns of our back tests from over 5,000 individual trades. And of course, these methods don't just look great on paper, they also work very well in the real world. Take a look at NIDA. In one day, 200+% winner in JP Morgan, 200+% winner in Citrix, 300+% winner in eBay. Or take a look at Tom, $2,900 in profits in just 4 days. And that was enough to cover his mortgage for the month. Now, as I mentioned before, next year, we are going to launch this to the general public. And when we do, we will be charging $1,997 just for these trades alone. Now, I love working with action takers like Tom because it is students like Tom who go on to get the greatest success because they do not hesitate in the market. So for the first 50 new members who join today, who are action takers, just like Tom, I want to give you multiple, very special, one-time only bonuses. So with Consistent Trader, yes, you're going to get the trade setups. But for my first 50 action takers, you're also going to have access to my personal and proprietary scanner. Now, I don't want you to have to do any research yourself. I am going to share with you the exact setups for each of our methods. But even then, if you don't want to do any research, you can just look at our scanner every single day, and the scanner will do all the research for you. Remember, the scanner solves the problem of I don't know what kind of trade to place because the scanner just tells you. It solves the problem of I don't know when to get in and I don't know when to get out because the scanner tells you exactly when to get in and exactly when to get out before you even place the trade. And of course, it solves the problem of I don't feel confident in my trade because the scanner gives you the historical data of those stocks on those specific trades right there on the scanner. And of course, my members love the scanner. How could they not? Look at Carl. 80% winner in Starbucks in less than 2 hours. Why? Because he found it in the scanner. Or take a look at Ken. TJX calls from the scanner yesterday closed at 50%. Not too shabby. Or take a look at Aaron, my friends. As for Consistent Trader, since the scanner went live less than 2 weeks ago, I have now closed 24 trades with 21 winners and 3 losers for a total profit after commissions of $32,485 in 11 calendar days. That is just nuts. The scanner cost me $25,000 to make, but it can be yours free today if you're one of my first 50 action takers. So again, with Consistent Trader, you're going to get the trade setups. But for my first 50 action takers, you're going to get access to my personal scanner. On top of that, I want you to join me live every single week for a live webinar training so you can get your questions answered by me live and see what's working for me in real time. And for my first 50 action takers, if once a week is not good enough for you, you also have 24/7 access to our members only Facebook group and our email support so you can get your questions answered all day, every day. But here's the thing. For my first 50 action takers, we're not even close to being done. Because not only that, but you will get to see every single trade that I make in real time. These are unlimited trade alerts. We give you the stock. We give you the type of trade. We give you the strike price. We give you the profit target, and we give you the stop loss and the reason for taking this trade. These will be sent directly to your email. On top of that, we normally charge an additional cost to receive text message alerts, but not for my first 50 action takers, because what we're going to do for our first 50 action takers is we are going to instantly upgrade all of you to receive not just email alerts, but also text message trade alerts. Now, for those asking, well, how good are your alerts? Here are all of the alerts we have sent out as a part of this program since we opened it in August. As you can see, we have a lot of winners. We do have some losers, but the average return per alert, not per winner, per alert is currently 30.27%. Now, let's put that into context really quickly. That means if you started with $1,000 and you followed all of my alerts, that $1,000 would have turned into over $10,000. And of course, my members love the alerts. Take a look at Ron. Steven's CCL trade from yesterday, 86% winner overnight. Or George, thank you for the IBM call. I made 235% in 3 days. And of course, he loves Consistent Trader. Or Way, 3-day call, a 448% winner, my biggest winner ever. Steven has really been on a tear lately. Thanks for another big winner. So with Consistent Trader, as a reminder, you're going to get the trade setups, which will be sold next year to the general public for $1,997. But for my first 50 action takers, access to my personal scanner, live weekly coaching, members only Facebook group, unlimited trade alerts, not just to your email, but also to your phone. But on top of that, I want you to hit the ground running, and I want to do this together. So you're going to join me next week for a Kickstart class. And here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to place each of our trades. I'm going to show you how to build a powerhouse portfolio. I'm going to show you how to compound your profits, but ultimately, we're going to be covering the best right now opportunities that you do not want to miss, such as a 3-day trade in NVIDIA that returns 47% per trade, or a 7-day trade in JD that returns 82% per trade. Or look at this one, folks, and this one's coming up. A 3-day trade in CrowdStrike that returns 181% per trade. And the cool thing is we have many more amazing right now opportunities that you do not want to miss. So the total value of Consistent Trader, $18,182. Now, as you guys also know, I'm not going to charge you $18,182 to get access to my personal and proprietary scanner, to unlimited trade alerts, to the Kickstart class. But I have a question for you right now. What if I did charge you $18,182? Then would it be worth it? If all it did was allow you to not have to do any research yourself, then would it be worth it? Right? To not have to do any research yourself and be gifted with these incredible opportunities, then would it be worth it? Absolutely it would. Now, if all this did was prevent you from buying options at the wrong time and teach you how to buy the right options at the right time, then would it be worth it? Yes, and yes, it certainly would. Now, if all it did was allow you to not miss out on any opportunities that I send out because of your instant upgrade to our SMS alerts, then would it be worth the investment? Like, think about it for a second. Would it be worth it to see the exact trades I take, the exact ones which allowed me to make over $337,000 in profits in just 5 months this year in my real money trading account? Then would it be worth it? 1 million times out of a million. Now, I told you at the start of this training, I would not charge you an arm and a leg. I told you that all I really wanted was for you to cover my cost, right? My cost of my time that I put in to make this possible. My cost of my team of data scientists who spent hours upon hours and days upon days coming up with this cutting edge information that will allow you to become a consistent trader moving forward. So you can see why this is a steal, even at $18,182. Now, as I told you before, next year, we will be selling this program and we will be selling it for $1,997 just for the trade setups. But I was thinking to myself, these are my action takers. And I want to not only stack the value with 6 incredible bonuses like we have, but I also really want to make this such an amazing deal for our VIP members today. So I decided to give our VIP members an instant $500 credit on their purchase. But then I thought to myself like an hour ago, yes, a $500 discount is great. But what if we double that discount here today, and instead of giving everyone a $500 discount, what if we double that to $1,000? But then I thought to myself, I know this training is going to be chock full of action takers. So for the best, most serious first 10 action takers, I am also going to provide you with a free one-on-one consultation with me. So you can get started, my friends, for $9.97. And instead of having to pay a subscription, we're going to offer this to you as a nice and simple one-time payment if you are one of my first 50 new members who joined today. So open up those browser tabs, head on over to stephenbrooks.co/consistent and invest in yourself today. Now, quickly, over the past month or so, we have had a group of beta testers come on board with this program to try it out, work out the kinks before we extended enrollment to you as a VIP member. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking that $9.97 is too much of a one-time payment, first take a look at the results from our beta testers. Question number 1. In your first month in Consistent Trader, have you generated a profit? 45 out of 50 said yes. Only 1 out of 50 said no. Not too shabby. How about this one? If you generated a profit with Consistent Trader, how much? More than 75% of our respondents made more than $1,000 in their first month. And take a look at this one, my friends. If you have made your money back with Consistent Trader, how quickly did you do that? More than half of our respondents made their money back in the first 2 weeks. Again, here's what you're going to get with Consistent Trader. You're going to get those options buying trade setups, which, as a reminder, will be sold next year alone for $1,997. But for my first 50 action takers, access to my personal scanner, the one that cost me over $25,000 to make, live weekly coaching, members only Facebook group, unlimited trade alerts, not just to your email, but also to your phone, and a kickstart class so you can hit the ground running and we can do this together. $997 as a nice and simple one-time payment, but only for our first 50 action takers today. So open up those browser tabs, head on over to stephenbrooks.co/consistent and invest in yourself today. Now, we have done a deal with PayPal to extend credit, and here's how it goes. When you head on over to stephenbrooks.co/consistent, there will be a blue button on the page that says Pay with PayPal. If you click on that button, you'll be sent over to PayPal. And after you sign in, and if you check out via PayPal credit, PayPal will give us the $997 investment today, and then you will enter into a payment plan with payments as low as $27 a month. So if you would like to get started today and pay later, PayPal credit may be a great opportunity for you. So that is the presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Really quickly, I'm going to take a little bit of a drink of water. I'm going to check and see how many slots we have available, and then I'll come back and I'll answer all of your questions. And as I mentioned before, I'm not going to leave this training until every single question has been answered. So give me about 10 seconds here, and then I'll come back and I'll start going with these questions here. All right, we are back. Let's go ahead and see here really quickly. So we have just posted in the chat box how many of our slots we have available. Can somebody please give me like a yes in the chat box if you were able to see that? Yeah, could somebody give me a yes if they were able to see that in the chat box? Awesome. All right, let's get going with some of these questions here really quickly. And again, I'll type it in the chat box again really quickly. All right, let's see here. Let's see here. All right. Can someone assist me in downloading the scanner? This was from David. So David, there's nothing to download when it comes to the scanner, right? There's nothing to download. Very simple. The scanner is a Google document. The scanner is a Google document. So as long as you have internet access, right? As long as you have internet access, you can absolutely take advantage of the scanner whenever you want. So we have members of this program, just as a kind of a basic example, we have a full-time day job, right? They have a full-time day job, and what happens is they have access to the scanner on their phone, and during their lunch break, they check the scanner, they follow the directions, and that's it. Nice and easy. Ronald, do you do any spread trading? So no, we do not do any spread trading. Everything that we do as a part of this program, we are buying options to open. So we're either buying calls or buying puts. Like as you can see here, Jason, his first 8 trades with the program, it was just either buying a call or buying a put. And of course, he had a pretty nice result with that. So one of the things that I like so much about this program is that the barrier of entry is as low as it possibly can get, because when it comes to buying options, as long as you have the money in the account, you can place the trade. So for example, last week, we placed a trade in Valley, symbol VALE. That trade cost $46 per contract. So if you only had 50 bucks in your account, you actually could have been able to place that trade. So it's one of the reasons why we love this program so much, is because the barrier to entry is really, 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 really low when it comes to this program. All right, let's see here with some of these questions. How much money do I need to get started? So we have members of this program who have as little as $500, and we have members of this program who have as much as $5 million, right? All right, let's get some of these questions here. Oh, let's see. Are you showing the sell also? So Tom, when it comes to this program, right, and let's specifically talk about our trade alerts, right, you're going to see me open and close positions. So you're not going to get an instance where I send you an opening trade alert and then you never hear about that trade ever again. You will get the opening alert and you will get the closing alert for win or loss. Absolutely. Can you post the buy link? Yes, we've just posted it into the chat box. It is stephenbrooks.co/consistent, and we also have it pasted there right on the page. Jessica, Stephen, how are your current members of Consistent Trader doing so well? These testimonials are amazing. So Jessica, I'll say a couple things, and I do want everyone to very much pay attention, because I do have to be honest with you. This program is not for everyone. It's not for everyone, okay? So I want to make sure that everyone is able to hear what I'm about to say. These individuals who are being very, very successful with this program, like very, very successful, they're not mathematicians, they're not quantitatives, you know, they don't have years and years and years of experience. There are two things that they do that are exceptional that not every single trader is able to do. So make sure you're paying attention before you go ahead and enroll in this program. Number one, all of my members of Consistent Trader are action takers. Number two, they all are able to follow step-by-step instructions. Okay, so if that's you, then you need to open up your browser tab. You need to head on over to stephenbrooks.co/consistent and invest in yourself today. Because again, I have to tell you, not everyone is an action taker. Not everyone is able to follow step-by-step instructions. But of course, if you're able to do that, you can have 40% winners in one day like Carl, or you can have a 97% profit in a couple days like Paulette, or you can have a 40% winner like Fred, or you can have a 56% winner on your first trade. I mean, honestly, why can't this be you? Consistent Trader members are action takers. They are able to follow directions. If that's you, why can't you be like Ken? Why can't you be like Kevin? Why can't you be like Tom? Why can't you be like Ren or Steve or Alex or Carl or Fred or Robert or Philip or Bob or Gerard? Imagine if you were like Gerard, because again, like I mentioned before, Gerard is not a mathematician, right? Gerard is not a quantitative, right? He's none of that stuff. Gerard has a full-time job, I know for a fact, because I talked to him. When it comes to someone like Gerard, very simple. He absolutely 1000% is an action taker. He 1000% is able to follow step-by-step instructions. And take a look at his results. The last week has been exciting and rewarding. 7 winners and 1 loser. Now, let's just focus on that loser for a moment. The loser was a 6% loser. Not too shabby. My friends, I can see these slots are going very, very quickly today. So we do only have 3 slots remaining. So if you are a little bit on the fence or do have any last minute questions, go ahead, pop them into the chat box. I'll hang around as long as everyone needs to make sure every single question has been answered. Tiger, is this for 1 year? First of all, I love the name and I love the question. No, this is a one-time payment. So when you head on over to stephenbrooks.co/consistent and you enroll in this program, there will never be an additional cost to you to maintain your membership in this program. Everyone else in the world is going to charge you a subscription, but not us. We do things a little bit different. This is $9.97 as a nice and simple one-time only payment. Hans, is this a price per year or for how long? Again, nice and easy, Hans. This is $9.97 as a nice and simple one-time payment. And again, why can't you be like George? Why can't you make 61% on your first trade? Again, George is an action taker. George is able to follow step-by-step instructions. That's it. That's the only thing that's different from George than many other traders. If you can say yes to both those things, why can't you be like George? Why can't you be like Joseph or Mark? You check the scanner one day. The next day, you have a 34% winner and a 61% winner. Not bad. Ryan, can I come on board next week? No. If you're not one of the next 3 people to join, then we will not be able to extend enrollment to you. However, you're more than welcome to come on board next year when we launch this program, but you will have to pay $1,997 just for those trade setups. Pete, how long is membership? Again, this is a one-time payment. This is not a subscription. This is not an automatic rebill. You will not get an email from us 1 year from now saying, hey, pay us more money to maintain your membership. This is $9.97 as a nice and simple one-time payment. And again, the URL, stephenbrooks.co/consistent. All right, let's see what these questions here. Let's see what these questions. I thought this was being recorded. I don't know if it's being recorded. Probably not. Can you put the link in the chat box? You already have a couple times. Tapas, it's stephenbrooks.co/consistent. Long, thank you for your valuable presentation. You're welcome. Claude, to answer your question, the answer is no. Deepak, welcome, buddy. Do you manage outside money? No, I don't manage outside money, and that's a great question. The reason I don't manage outside money is because I get much more enjoyment from a member of one of my programs, learning something that I taught them and going out there and making money from it, much more than I get enjoyment from making money myself. So I'd rather be a teacher because I just like teaching much more than I like making a ton of money myself. And again, I get such more of a rush when I hear a member like George, 50% profit from the other day, or John, 40% winner overnight, or Denny, 40% winner in Citrix, or Bob, 100% winner in Peloton, or Robert, 40% winner in Uber, or 40% winner in Workday, or George. Like, I enjoy getting a testimonial like this much more than I ever would managing outside money. Like, look at George. Incredible first week in Consistent Trader. I closed 5 trades this week, all for profit. The profits paid for the membership. Thanks for this program, Stephen Brooks. And again, this is $9.97 as a one-time payment. All of these bonuses, all of them, are worth many multiples of that. For example, my personal scanner, if you wanted to create a scanner for yourself, it would cost you $25,000, just like it cost me to develop this scanner. But if you're one of my first 50 action takers, and I can see we only have 2 slots remaining, you get that totally free. That's worth 25 times your investment in yourself today. On top of the fact that you get to see unlimited trade alerts. Hans, do we get alerts when we sell? Yes. Earl, this is a one-time payment. This is not a subscription. Hans, this program is very new. How did you make $1 million in the stock market? This program has been around since August, but I have not been around since August. Is this the same as Market Hero? No, this is called Consistent Trader. I mean, look at Sal. Look at all those winners. Look at San. Look at all those winners. Look at Fred. Look at George. Look at Alex. Look at Joseph. Look at Jim. What more do you need to see? I know Jim. He is not a mathematician. There's no way he was an A+ student. He never studied financial markets before he started working with us. But again, what I can certainly say about Jim is two things. Number one, Jim is absolutely, unquestionably an action taker. He really wants to make change in his life. And number two, he is able to follow directions. And look what he says. Just close my home consistent trader trade for a 40% profit. Consistent trader is just like the name says. Consistent profits. This service is great. Why can't that be you? Claude, no, we do not. So Deepak says, I paid, but I did not get email confirmation yet. So Deepak, nice and easy. Go ahead, email my customer support team. Their email address can be found at the bottom of this page. It's support@stonybrookssecurities.com. Just email them, say, hey, I haven't got, the email, whatever, and they'll take care of you. Can this be done in an IRA? Yes, absolutely it can. I do these trades in my IRA as well. Again, all we do is buy calls or buy puts. So you can do that in any account in the entire world as long as you have the funds in the account. Do you combine this strategy with Hubert Center's analysis of the same instruments? So Hubert Centers is a friend of mine, but he's also a mentor of mine. So some of the ways that Hubert goes around looking at the market, that is incorporated in a lot of what I do, yes. What percent of the trades end up being day trades? In terms of our alerts, we have not opened and closed a trade on the same day so far. Maybe we will. That's never the goal, right? It's never the goal to make 100% in the same day, right? Sometimes it happens because the stars align and you happen to pick something that was really going in the right direction, but it's never the goal to intraday trade. Our average member is spending 10 minutes a day trading. So we're not trying to sit in front of the computer and trade all day. We're trying to check the scanner, have the scanner tell us what to do, take the trade, and walk away. Awesome, Jimmy. Troy, can this be done in an IRA? Yes. Awesome, Ron. Awesome, very cool. Very, very cool. Is this okay for me if I live outside of the United States? This is from George. So yes, absolutely. So again, when it comes to just buying calls or just buying puts, the barrier of entry is as low as just buying stock, right? It's as low as just buying stock. So again, as long as you have the money in the account, you can take these trades, right? It's very, very low entry. Shashki, the answer to your question is absolutely no. What is the win-loss ratio by number of trades, not amount? Let's go take a look. Okay, so let's count these trades and somebody can do the math for me. We have 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 3, 4. So we have 44 trades. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 losers and 34 winners. So somebody tell me what 34 divided by 44 is. Because whatever that is, that's our win rate. But quite frankly, not really ultra concerned about our win rate because the average percent gain per trade, not per winner, per trade is very positive. So I'm not ultra concerned about win rate. The most important thing is that we make money, right? We make money. That's the most important thing. So win-loss ratio, not important to me at all because again, we're making a positive return per trade, which is really the only thing that matters. And my friends, I do see that we have one last final slot remaining. So if you are a little bit on the fence or you have any last minute questions, go ahead, pop them into the chat box, and we'll see if we can help somebody else come on board and invest in their self today. Because again, look, at the end of the day, you either want to improve your life or you don't. I mean, I can't do that for you. I definitely want to improve my life. I work with thousands of traders who want to improve their lives. If you want to improve your life, if you want to supplement your income, if you want to have more money in retirement, if you want to eventually quit your day job, if you want to take more vacations, if you just want to have a little bit more freedom in your life, well, you have to do something different than you're doing right now. I'm offering this to you for $9.97 as a nice and simple one-time payment. It does not get any cheaper than that, and it does not get any easier than that. And again, when you invest in yourself today, you have the potential to get results like my members, like Aaron, $32,485 in profits in 11 calendar days. Or you can be like Tori, making 45% overnight in Lulu. Or you could be like Paulette and make 20% profit in just a couple days. Or you could be like Mark, or you can be like Siva, or you could be like Philip, or you could be like Jason, or you could be like Brad, or Paulette, or Mark, or Philip, or Dave. Again, Dave is not a savant, right? He's not a mathematician. He's not a quantitative. Dave, very simple. Dave is an action taker. He knows he wants to supplement his income, so he's going to do whatever it takes to get that. He enrolled in the program. He's an action taker. And he is able to follow step-by-step instructions. And as you can see, just by following directions, he made over 40% in his first trade as a new member. Why can't that be you? Let's see. We're trying to sign up and pay, want that slot, but have not been able to find how to sign up. So Robert, very simple, my man. It's on the page, and I'll type it in the chat box right now. It's stephenbrooks.co/consistent. So there's the link right there. It's stephenbrooks.co/consistent. And I know there's a bunch of people like Robert, like Nilesh, like Brian saying they want that last slot. Again, we do only have one slot remaining. So it's stephenbrooks.co/consistent. It's right there on the page. And we've also just added it directly to the chat box. Again, look at Penny. 40% winner over the weekend. Not too bad. Or Bob, 77% winner. I mean, who do you want to be like? Do you want to be like Jim? Do you want to be like Neil? Do you want to be like Fred? Do you want to be like Brooks? Or how about being like Greg? That's not too bad, 33% winner. Or how about Philip, 30% winner? That's not too shabby. Or Dennis, or Kevin, 40% winner. 2 winners on the day. Not too bad. Do you want to be like Chong? Do you want to be like Brad? Do you want to be like Derek? Do you want to be like Helen? Or Philip? Or Matt? 97% profit in 24 hours. Not too bad. Yep, Shosh, the reason is because we don't want people coming into our program who don't want to actually give an effort. So the answer to your question is still going to be no, my man. Yep. Do you offer a trial? We do not offer a trial. That's for sure. The reason we don't offer a trial is because our programs, they work. Look at all these testimonials. The reason why our programs work is because we only want people to join the program who really want to change their lives. Right, there are a lot of people out there. 2020 for many traders has been a devastating year. Many people's accounts or retirements have been wiped out. They've just been completely wiped out. But to get better results, you can't give up. You can't give up. You can never give up. Invest in yourself. This is a system that works. Look at Brad. Look at Jim. Look at Brad again. Look at Siva. Look at Denny. Look at Helen. Look at Mark. Look at Robert. Look at Rodney. Look at Bob. Look at Donna. Look at Ralph. Look at Mark. Look at Ralph again. 240%, 47% winner in 11 days. Look at Donna. 39K in a week. Look at Nita. All those winners on one single day. Look at Andrew. 127%. Look at Bob. 276% winner. Why can't this be you? Steve, the answer to your question is no. What phone number do we have for support? Send us an email, Pete, at support@stonybrooksecurities.com. right? So right there at the bottom of the page. I have signed up and I'm in Asia. So do you record your weekly calls? Yes. So we record all of our weekly coaching sessions and we post them in the members area under the module titled Weekly Webinar Trainings. We also record all of the Kickstart classes that we do. So let's say, for example, you cannot join us next week for our Kickstart class. That's okay. You will still be able to receive the recording of that Kickstart class that we record in the members area. So don't worry about that. Mark, do you do any automation? So we do automation. So for each of our trades, we have a step-by-step documentation that you can follow. Just follow steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can place the trade. So here's what we do. You have to manually open the trade, right? You have to manually open the trade. But once you open the trade, we can automate closing it for profit or loss. And we show you how to do that in our step-by-step automation. Again, it's why our average member is spending 10 minutes a day looking at this stuff, is because once they put in the trade, they put in their closing orders and they more or less walk away. All right, my friends, I do see that we have one last slot remaining, but I do not see, any other questions in the chat box. So I will hang around here for maybe 30 more seconds. And if I don't see any other questions in the chat box, we will go ahead and we will end this training here today. Stephen, can you explain PayPal credit one more time? Sure, George. So very simple. You go to stephenbrooks.co/consistent. On that page, there will be a blue button that says Pay with PayPal. If you click on that button, you'll be sent over to PayPal. And of course, if you check out, you have to log in first, right? So you have to log into PayPal. Once you log in, if you check out via PayPal credit, PayPal will give us the $9.97 investment today, and then you will enter into a payment plan with payments as low as $27 a month. So again, we don't have a payment plan, if you will, but if you want a payment plan, PayPal credit will work very well for you. Very cool. So my friends, I do not see any other questions, and I was just notified that our final slot was taken. So for all of our new members of Consistent Trader, I welcome you to the family. For everyone else, I wish you all the best of luck. Have a great day.